Morning everybody, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing really well. So we're going to get straight into it. So, President Donald Trump is suing the BBC for $1 billion. That will be the nail in the coffin for the BBC. They've already lost millions. I think, what is it, 27 million. They've lost 27 million through cancellations of the TV license over the last year alone. And that number is still rising. People are waking up to the fact that the BBC is nothing more than a propaganda machine. That's all it is. And this latest scandal has just added weight to that. Not only weight to it, it categorically proves that these people are propagandists. Because this is what propagandists do. They take a narrative and they twist it to make it sound another way. And that's exactly what the BBC has done. To such an effect that the head of the BBC has had to resign, the deputy head of the BBC has had to resign because of this, because they most likely had full knowledge that this was going on. And now Donald Trump is suing them. So what they did, the January 6th speech that he made, where he was talking about peacefully resisting what happened in the country, they doctored it to make it sound like he was inciting violence. Now the lefties, the thicko lefties, the ones that proclaim them to be so intelligent, are not really. They're thick. They're absolutely thick. They don't understand this, that when you doctor a sentence to give it a different meaning, that's lying. That's lying. And they don't understand that. That's probably, I don't know if it's defamation. Is it defamation or is it liable? I don't know. But that's what Donald Trump is most likely suing the BBC for. But the lefties, they don't understand that, and that this was pointed out to them in somebody else's video, but I'll make the point again here. So if I'm saying that I've got to go home and look after my dog, and I said, but I'm going to go to the pub first because I could murder a pint, and then you doctor that sentence to saying that I'm going to go home and murder my dog, that's lying. That's changing the narrative. That's changing the meaning of the sentence that I used to mean something else. And that's what the BBC did. They changed the meaning of the speech in such a way that it twisted the narrative and made it sound like President Trump was saying something completely different. And this is something the lefties don't understand. They don't understand because they're thick. They're willfully thick, or that they're just lying about the intentions of the BBC. We know the BBC are liars. Look at the Panorama documentary that Tommy Robinson did when Panorama tried to twist the narrative, tried to build a story out of nothing to smear Tommy Robinson. And this could happen to me or you or anybody. This is what these people are guilty of. And hopefully Donald Trump sues them for every single penny they've got and bankrupts them to such a point that they have to shut down, because he'll be doing the people of this country an immense favour. He really would. All those lefties coming out as well, out the woodwork, defending the BBC for its actions, are now choosing this hill to die on and exposing themselves for being the ones that have benefited from the BBC's bias all along, because they have. Why else would you come out and defend an institution that is provably corrupt and a propaganda machine, unless you've been benefiting from what it's been doing? You want it to carry on. You want that protective shield of biased news reporting, because let's face it, they keep certain news reports out of the public consciousness so they can drive the narrative, so they can push an agenda. That's what they do it for. And this protects certain people in our society from criticism. So of course these people are going to come out and defend the BBC. Of course they are, because they've been benefiting from its corruption and its propaganda. Another thing that makes me laugh is when the lefties come out and call the BBC right wing. They call it right wing. And this just exposes just how extreme these people are. Because how extreme do you have to be to the far left to call the BBC right wing? The BBC is concentrated woke. I've never seen a place where woke is so prevalent in my life. Yet you've got the far left Marxist communist nut jobs that basically anybody to the right of Lenin and Stalin is far right to them, because they've shifted. So the centre to them is basically extreme left. So they're just clowns. These people are absolute clowns, and they expose themselves at every single turn. Right, there's a saying out there, there's a saying in this country, in England, that, you know, it's better to be thought of a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Well, it seems like the lefties haven't learnt that, or don't even know the meaning of that saying, because they've been speaking an awful lot lately, and they're making themselves look fools quite regularly on this subject. This is Vindicator, signing off.